Hello and welcome, Dota fans. This is another pubcast brought to you by SeeC. If you want to check out any of my other stuff, just a quick plug, youtube.com/SeeC Dota. That's SeeC Dota. Looks like we're going to jump right into the draft here of a game against League of Men versus Vixen Gaming. This is going to be a cast for the League CEVO from the subreddit Dota 2 Castit. Jumping right in. Bans coming out from the League of Men are going to be Wisp and Nature's Prophet. As you can see, they're really just don't want to deal with the global presence here. Both Wisp and Nature's Prophet have map-wide teleports, and Wisp can bring a hero with them, which just gets incredibly annoying, incredibly fast. So League of Men banning them out. They really just don't want to deal with that kind of global presence. Vixen Gaming coming back with the PL and the Gyro ban, two very huge carries. Gyro, after getting nerfed, is still an incredible carry and an incredible early game hero. Very good ban coming out from them. PL, just one of those heroes that you just don't want to deal with. Once he gets up his illusion army with a heart and diffusal and God knows whatever else, just not a fun game. League of Men getting the first pick, coming out with the Bat Rider. Bat Rider, one of those heroes that gets very annoying very quickly, speaking of them. Usually plays in the middle lane. Sometimes I've seen him as an offlaner, but between the sticky napalm and the lasso, being able to pull a hero just completely out of the fight gets very, very powerful very quickly, especially if you can just burst that hero down. Then you're looking at a 5v4 kind of a matchup. Vixen Gaming pulls out the Rubik. Very solid support, has a targeted disable, Fade Bolt, some team-wide magic resistance, and most importantly, the spell steal. If League of Men pick any kind of big ultimates or very important spells, even something like the lasso can get very powerful for the Rubik. Next up is going to be the Sven. Sven is a hero that we have seen fall out of popularity lately for not really all that great of reasons, but I still think he's an incredibly powerful carry. Also a very good support if that's how they want to run him. He has a targeted stun, he has a move speed bonus, he pretty much gets a free Battle Fury and a free Divine Rapier damn near with his ultimate. God's Strength really allowing him to do tons of damage. League of Men answer with a carry of their own, Life Stealer. As we've seen in pretty much every game so far, Life Stealer is either picked or banned as soon as possible. And that's just because he's such a good carry, even despite the open wounds nerf kind of hurting his early game a little bit. He is still just incredibly powerful. And while Sven gets a free Battle Fury, Lifestealer pretty much gets a free BKB with his Rage skill, really allowing him to just kind of run into fights completely unimpeded. Vixen Gaming coming out with a ban on the Bane here, a little bit questionable, as Bane is one of the heroes that is very good at dealing with the Lifestealer. By pulling out the Fiend's Grip on the Lifestealer at the beginning of every fight, that really immobilizes him, doesn't allow him to get off the rage, or if he already got it off, it immobilizes him, and that's enough to deal with the Lifestealer. It makes it very easy to pick him off, do as much damage as humanly possible during that duration for Fiend's Grip, and able to burst down their most important hero. League of Men answers back with a Puck ban. Very good mid hero. Definitely a solid counter. Well, I wouldn't say a solid counter. Puck would definitely have some trouble against a Bat Rider at mid. It is a very good hero against Bat Rider, if there is such a thing. I'm not really sure yet. The only true counter to Bat Rider I've seen at middle has been a Slark. You wouldn't think Slark would be a great middle, but with that purge ability of Dark Pact, he is able to purge off all of the sticky napalm charges, which gets very handy once you get 5 or 6 of those on you. Being able to just purge those off immediately and make Bat Rider waste his mana is very important. League of Men banning out the Queen of Pain here. Just banning out strong mids mostly. They just want that Bat Rider to be able to dominate the mid lane and take the mid game with in stride, with a Blink Dagger, possibly a Force Staff, and just really make the team fights that much easier for them. Vixen Gaming answering with the Queen of Pain ban. They just don't want any supports. They know League of Men still have to pick up 2 supports, while they have at least 1, possibly 2 supports of their own already chosen. So they're just banning out the Bane, banning out the Queen of Pain, or the CM, just to try to get rid of some of the better supports. They pick up what I would assume to be their second support, possibly a mid. I have seen Venomancer played mid sometimes. He is not perhaps the best solo middle, but he certainly is a viable option there thanks to his wards, thanks to his Venomous Gale. Easily the best level 1, well, perhaps not easily, but definitely a very good level 1 slow in that Venomous Gale. League of Men come back with the Nyx Assassin as one of their supports. Nyx Assassin, despite a slight nerf to his spike carapace and all that, still an incredibly annoying support. Also possibly a mid. They could run the Batrider off lane if they felt like it, run the Nyx mid. Nyx can get very infuriating to deal with due to that mana burn. So that can end up doing huge damage late game as well. So it is a very scalable ability. Vixen Gaming looking for their next pick here. They have 2 supports. They have their carry. Possibly, depending on how they want to lane it, mid and 2 supports. Depends on what their last picks coming out will be. But realistically, if I were them, I'd be looking for a mid hero and I'd be looking for an off laner. The Darkseer is still in the pool, so they could pick a Darkseer for the off lane here, which would be a very viable pick, especially to go up against that Lifestealer. Lifesteal is very hard to control, but the Darkseer's Ion Shell can end up doing quite a bit of damage to him, as the Lifestealer does have to come up to the line of the creeps and try to get a couple last hits. That Ion Shell does the damage at that point and makes it tough for the Lifestealer to really get up there and get those last hits. They're also looking for a middle hero, so they'll pick up the Magnus. Magnus has been a little bit nerfed in middle thanks to the bottle nerfs, the bottle crawling nerfs rather, and his ultimate no longer does the insane damage it did, so it's still a very powerful hero, especially coupled with the Sven. The Empower does cleave damage, Sven's skill does cleave damage, and that Magnus ultimate is going to make it insane if he can land a good ultimate. Sven pops the God Strength, pops the stun, and can just wail away on everyone in that radius. League of Men answer with their second support. Looking at the Shadow Demon here. Shadow Demon, Nyx, Lifestealer, tri-lane perhaps. Would definitely be a solid tri-lane. It has some kill potential. It's not one of the most deadly tri-lanes that I've ever seen, but it is certainly a very viable tri-lane, especially up against the Rubik Venomancer Sven. Another very potent tri-lane here with 2 stuns, a massive slow, plenty of damage between the Rubik Fade Bolt, Sven's stun, Venomancer's Venomous Gale, and his wards, and possibly his ultimate later in the game. Very much have a kill potential there, and possibly running an aggressive tri-lane, though that may be a little bit iffy. Running an aggressive tri-lane against a Shadow Demon Nyx composition with a Lifestealer does get very tricky, as the combination of disruption into a stun into a slow can be very troublesome for low health supports like Rubik and Venomancer. Looking at the last ban stage here, League of Men still looking for their off-laner, so Vixen Gaming also possibly looking for their off-laner. Magnus can be an off-laner. Hasn't been seen nearly as much lately, but it is still definitely a viable option. Vixen Gaming banning out the Alchemist. Perhaps they thought they were going to go for a dual core and run the Lifestealer as an off-laner, which has been done and is relatively effective. So banning out the Alchemist so that League of Men cannot have a very strong farming dual core. League of Men waiting up on their last ban. Possibly looking to ban another mid-hero, as they've already banned out the Queen of Pain. They've already banned out the... another mid-hero, Warlock being banned out. Warlock, when he drops the rock, dropping that, what is it? Chaos? Whatever it is. His dropping the rock. He's dropping a massive fire golem out of the sky. Once he gets an Aghanims, he's dropping 2 fire golems out of the sky. Get a refresher, you're dropping 4 golems out of the sky. Those things are monstrous. They do insane damage, they do insane immolation, they tank, they're crazy. So, good ban coming out there. It is very disruptive to have this giant thing fall out of the sky on top of your head in the middle of a fight. It can get very tough to deal with. Vixen Gaming coming back with the Beastmaster. Once again, an off-lane mid-hero, depending on how they want to run it. Magnus and Beastmaster have a little bit of flexibility like that. But Beastmaster, the very important thing here is going to be his roar. Being able to roar the Batrider as he's coming in to try and get a lasso, or roaring the Lifestealer as he's getting off his rage, to be able to burst both of them down, or one of them down, is going to be huge in this team fight. If Batrider manages to pull a hero out, that can be devastating. But, on the other hand, if Batrider blinks in, and whether or not he gets off the lasso, if he doesn't lasso the Beastmaster, Beastmaster can get that stun off on him and get that roar off and pretty much ruin their initiation. And at that point, the Batrider is not useless, but he is just not nearly as useful in team fights without that lasso, without pulling out a hero. League of Men looking for their last pick up here. Darkseer is still in the pool if they want to go with an off-laner like that. If they're not going for an aggressive tri-lane, they could pick a farming safe lane carry and go for an aggressive tri-lane with the Nyx, Shadow Demon, and Lifestealer, while Batrider is pretty much cemented in middle right now. If they do go for the offensive tri-lane, that would be a heck of a matchup between Rubik, Sven, Venomancer, Lifestealer, Nyx, and Shadow Demon. Tons of kill potential like we talked about earlier in the draft. Tons of kill potential for both lanes, but I'm not sure that they would come out ahead on that. And the point of an aggressive tri-lane is to really shut down the enemy carry. And could they shut down the Sven if Sven was in his safe lane? Possibly. But could they really contest the pulls? Could a Nyx Assassin and Shadow Demon contest the pulls on that safe lane? Perhaps not. Between the telekinesis, the Sven stun, and the slow, it would be very tough for them to contest the pulls and be able to contest the farm of that Sven. They might just plop the Lifestealer tri-lane in the safe lane and just try to out-farm the Sven, which is very possible, especially depending on what build each of them go. They're both very mid-game related carries, and it looks like they'll go for the Lone Druid on the League of Men. Possibly a safe lane Lone Druid, possibly an off-lane Lone Druid, depending on how they want to play that once again. An off-lane Lone Druid against the tri-lane of Sven, Rubik, Venomancer can get a little bit hairy for the Lone Druid. It's not impossible to have a good lane there, but it definitely is a little bit tougher. Looks like we're going to get in game, and we're going to start off by introducing League of Men. Pioneer on the Nyx Assassin, Sid on the Batrider, Fargo on the Shadow Demon, Oi Boy on the Lifestealer, and Icolob on the Lone Druid. On the other side for Vixen, it's going to be Zach on the Magnus, Alasus, whatever, on the Rubik, Minot Runner on the Venomancer, Dazton on the Beastmaster, and yep, there we go, Serbok on the Sven. Looks like the start off here from Vixen is going to be everyone running towards the top lane. They might be going for the offensive tri-lane, then just trying to clear out the aggressive woods here, clear out the lane, see where they can find, see if they can find possibly an early first blood. League of Men will be going for that safe lane tri-lane with Oi Boy, Fargo, and Pioneer, while the Lone Druid is going to be on the off lane, possibly pulling some cheeky stuff with that Spirit Bear, pulling out the wave. If you can manage to get the wave behind the tower or in front of the tower here, it's very easy to get it either way. Looks like they're going to find out Pioneer though. Alice's being able to get that telekinesis off. Cerebot coming through with the stun, and that perfect disruption from Fargo. Fargo manages to delay a lot of the damage. Pioneer getting through with a double or triple stun there. Magnus coming through with the damage. Tons of right clicks going down, but are they going to be able to get the stun? Pioneer's managing to salve up. Cerebot chasing, but is not able to get that kill. Cerebot taking a huge amount of damage from that tower. Alice's taking a huge amount of damage from that tower, and almost canceling off the salve from Sid there. Very close to canceling that salve, and that would have been disastrous for Cerebot. Having to go into lane with a grand total of 200 HP would have been terrible. They will find the first rune here, though, and it will be on Magnus with a haste. Not much loss for either team. It looks like they popped a couple salves on either side. Cerebok and Nyx both had to pop salves, so not too much lost outside of time. They are missing a lot of farm down here, and they allowed the Spirit Bear to pull this wave back. And pulling that wave back is going to be huge. That's level 2 for the Spirit Bear, right there, for the Lone Druid right there in those creeps. So definitely going to be a slight misplay from Vixen trying to take a fight that late. Looks like they will ward off the pull camps down here, though, so there is going to be no pulling from Vixen until they deward that, and a little bit of vision just to make sure that he's not dying. Alice is putting down a little bit of vision of his own, and it looks like the stacking and pulling is going to start up here. Fargo stacking up that hard camp. And let's just get those last hits up there so we can start watching. Nyx leading the charts so far. Not that 4 last hits mean a lot, but he has also gotten 4 denies, 5 denies, or 5 last hits now with 4 denies. 5 denies. So he's doing very well, and it looks like the Beastmaster isn't really going to be able to contend his lane that much. The real fun lane here is going to be this Batrider versus Magnus. Magnus is going to be having a really tough time trying to last hit and get decent farm against a Batrider, especially a level 3 Batrider here. He's a little bit ahead. Oh, nope, right on par there. But Sid, once he gets his bottle, is going to be able to just push out the Magnus constantly. And this tri-lane down on bottom here is going to be a bit troublesome for the Spirit Bear as well, but the Bear is able to tank up quite a bit, and he will be able to get reasonably close to experience range and manage to get something. Whereas the Beastmaster, as you can see, is just sitting way back, not really able to get a whole lot from this lane. Especially not as Fargo pulls stacks and pulls, manages to clear out that entire camp, but also manages to clear out an entire wave of his own, except that creep. Does manage to miss 1 creep. Zach and Sid here just having a little bit of a sparring match, and it looks like the Magnus is actually winning this lane so far, surprisingly. He is managing to get more last hits than Sid. Sid doesn't have his bottle, won't have it for another couple hundred gold, and that's actually the first time I have seen him use Sticky Napalm. Perhaps not the best, but he just needs to be able to stack those up and push the Magnus out of lane so that he doesn't get his level 6. Try lane down here, pretty uneventful, just kind of pushing out the lane a little bit too much. No stacking and pulling, so they will not be able to maintain creep equilibrium as much as they would like to. But Serbach getting some decent farm at 6 and 1, doing reasonably well for being uncontested. But that Spirit Bear their Lone Druid is going to be able to get up level 4 already, so he is doing quite well as far as experience goes. Compare that to the Beastmaster at 3, just getting level 3 rather. He is going to be hard pressed to actually get anything out of this lane. Oye Boy looking at level 3 as well, but he is also topping the last hit charts with 14 and 8, so he is doing very well as far as it goes so far. Magnus does have his bottle up, and that will help for him to get those runes and everything. Well, it looks like, yep, Sid is going to be getting his bottle out right now. That bottle will be very important. That means he can really spam out the Sticky Napalm and possibly even go for a kill on Zach. It will be a little bit tough once Zach, is able to skewer out that often. It'll be tough. It might be a no-kill lane, but it'll certainly be close. Sid missing a couple last hits is only 8 and 1, while the Magnus is 10 and nothing, doing a little bit better there, despite Sid being on a Bat Rider at the middle lane. 6 stacks up on Zach here now. If the Bat Rider really felt like it, he could possibly dive that. And it looks like Zach will back off to get those stacks off him. Good choice there by Zach, as getting that many stacks on you really destroys your move speed and allows the Bat Rider to right-click you extremely hard, and it just gets very difficult for you. Magnus activates the Invis rune, going for the haste rune here. Sid thinks he has it, but Zach will get the skewer off and get the haste rune. Get a couple hits on the Bat Rider just to, show him he means business. Magnus activates the haste rune, drops a couple bottle charges, trying to get a couple extra last hits with that shockwave. And this is key to that mid matchup. Runes are going to be huge. Zach S here on the Magnus is going to need to Bottle Crow if he doesn't get the runes. And Bottle Crowing really slows down your farm by a lot because you just do not have the speed you used to have on Bottle Crow. It has a 30% speed detriment, not a bonus rather, on the Courier anytime it is running with an empty bottle, and that will force him to try to either rune control or just suffer the consequences. Looks like the Beastmaster is going to try to harass out, stack up rather, the hard camp here for possible farming later, while Fargo is spinning in circles while waiting to pull this camp into the creeps, and then he will most likely be trying to do a pull through into this bottom camp to just deny off another wave. The Beastmaster is really suffering, only hitting level 4, while the Lone Druid is almost at level 6 now, so it's just a huge difference between the offlaners, and you can pretty much attribute that to this ward. This one ward has helped out the Lone Druid so much by denying off this pull. At the same time, the Radiant has tried to deward it here with multiple Sentry wards wasted, and this was just a very, very good position as it does deny off this camp as well. It's called the Magic Bush, perfect ward positioning there for denying as many camps as humanly possible. And it looks like that ward will be expiring though, lucky for the Radiant here. Alassus or whatever will be stacking up that camp as well. And it looks like the Beastmaster is actually going to be pulling to this camp to try to deny off his wave as much as possible and possibly get a little bit of farm, but it looks like the Dire are well aware of that and will be coming in here to try to get out the couple last hits. Oi Boy getting in a little bit of trouble there, getting a little bit low, and we'll have to pop that salve to heal back up. Bat Rider hoping for the rune, doesn't manage to get it, but looks like Zach has already bottled the invisibility rune and is coming top with it with his ultimate now. We could be seeing first blood out of this if they manage to catch someone out. Between the damage of the ultimate and skewer, getting skewered back into the tower or something of the sort, and shockwave, and the axes, it can be huge damage, especially once Doston here hits level 5. He will be able to get a whole bunch of extra damage. It looks like they're going to bring in the Venomancer as well. Really looking to get this first blood here. And the Courier will come in and get a hand of Midas. Oh, the reverse polarity going down on Lifesteal. Skewered back and waiting for the Axis to come out. Axis, he gets stunned out. Lifestealer infests into a creep to get away from that gang. Perfect execution by the Lifestealer. Great stun by Pioneer there. Pretty much saving the Lifestealer's life unless they can get the kill now. Axis come out and the disruption going off on the Magnus. First blood going to Dostan here. Possibly a misplay by Fargo. Possibly he should have disrupted the Lifestealer there maybe. pushed back the other heroes here with those 3 stacks of Shadow Poison, but gives up first blood to the Beastmaster. That'll definitely get him back in good experience range, but the Syllabear here is still getting above and gets a lucky root on Aliceus, but there will be no real follow-up, just a little bit of damage. And that Orb of Venom, doing a little bit of harass and a little bit of slow, helps him out tremendously. He is level 7 though, and that puts him ahead of the Beastmaster. Beastmaster not quite 6 yet, doesn't quite have his ultimate, and once he does that, he could possibly roam around, find a kill or two, possibly even come down here and kill the bear, which would be a huge kill for them. Looking at the last hit notifications here, last hit chart here, Serbok doing reasonably well with 30 and 2, 8 minutes in. The tri-lane kind of helping him out here, but the lone druid is at 22 and 5, which can be slightly detrimental, especially once he gets a little bit more farmed later in the game. He can be very dangerous. Aliceus not really getting on much farm for a support, but no surprise there. He has one last hit for denies though, which is definitely helpful. Serbok finishing off the treads. Zach in the middle lane here looking at 19 and 0, but he does have that 1 assist from helping out with the first blood, so he is doing a little bit better, though not quite at the level the Batrider is at. He is doing reasonably well. The Lifestealer up on the top lane though, definitely topping the charts here. That defensive tri-lane here is very helpful for him to be able to get all those last hits and help deny off all the creep waves thanks to the very efficient stacking and pulling coming out from Fargo and the Nyx Assassin. The Handamitis here really just says that he wants to take this late game. He wants to be able to out-farm the Sven. Sven is about as good as a carry. Honestly, it could go either way as far as mid-game carries go, but the Lifestealer is going to try to go for a little bit more farm later game and get up a little bit more items than the Sven and take him on through itemization like that. Whereas the Sven didn't go for the Handamitis, not quite as late game of a build as the Lifestealer, so I would say Vixen would be very wise to try to take this in the mid game as much as possible, especially with something like a Lone Druid here. Lone Druid and the Lifestealer, especially Lifestealer with an arm or with a Handamitis, definitely looking for the late game. And it looks like League of Men are going to group up here on the bottom lane, bringing 4 down here to try to possibly get a kill. Icolabob into his ultimate form just to tank up quite a bit, and that's pretty much a free Reaver and a ton of armor there. So they're going to be trying to tank up, does get a lucky entangle on a creep, and going to be going on the Venomancer here, gets stunned out by Aliceus here. Serbok using his stun, Fade Bolt coming through, but the Batrider coming up. Disruption on Aliceus here, and it looks like Shadow Demon will get the Venomancer kill, and the Rubik kill goes to the Batrider all at the same time. Shadow Demon getting really low here, pops the wand to get a couple life points back up. Tango's up, and he will be just fine, and he does get a salve as well. So it looks like they might just push down this tower now. Serbok kind of just hiding in the trees because there's nothing he can do about it. He'll be going for a Mask of Madness so that every time that they land an RP, he can just wipe the team. That'll be the goal. Let's see how well they can execute. But the first tower advantage will be going to the Dire here, taking out this tier 1 tower down on bottom, and Lone Druid will get that kill to help accelerate his farm. Lifestealer just pretty much just getting free farm up top here, and there's not a whole lot the Beastmaster can do about it. And he has gotten his level 6, but he is still sitting in lane doing nothing. He's getting nearly no farm. He has 16 last hits, so he's not getting much farm. Getting some experience, he's doing reasonably well, but not terrifically. So I'm not sure that he's just not wasting his time in here. Trying to 1v1 a Lifestealer in lane with a Beastmaster early game, perhaps not his best idea, but does get the urn up, has his boots up, has his bottle, so he will be doing at least something there. Magnus pulls out the invisibility rune, possibly going to be looking at that Lifestealer again, but it looks like they do have tons of support up here, so Fargo and Pioneer can get there fast enough. They would be able to save him, but they did have this ward down here that I missed. This ward pretty much spotted out the Magnus as he popped that Invis rune. They knew it was coming. The Lifestealer retreats to the tower. No harm, no foul from them. And just plenty of wasted time between Zach and Aliceus. Sentry ward going down here. They know he's there. Very good play by the supports here. Possibly a very good play. Very good disruption. But they waited until they... Oh, very nice RP, catching all of them. Lifestealer pops out and starts damaging. Fargo manages to run away. Stun coming out on the Lifestealer, and it looks like Zach is going to make it away. Pioneer has no mana to try and re-engage here. Oye Boy has a 16-second cooldown. And the Alice is taking a very strange route here, just running down and into the river instead of back towards his tower. Shadow Demon will be killed off by a neutral, definitely better than feeding it to the enemy, and they will get the Rubik kill there. Rubik took this route down the ramp instead of coming back to his tower to safety. This is safety. Bunch of extra damage there. So a little bit of a strange route there does allow League of Men to get some kills. Shadow Demon did go down there, but he did go down to a creep, which is significantly better than going down to an enemy hero, as it doesn't provide much of anything towards them. Sven does finish up the Mask of Madness, so with any luck, when Magnus gets those RPs like that, 3-man RP right up onto this ward, getting that 3-man RP will be able to help Sven out with that Mask of Madness and Cleave. I just want to talk real quickly about the supports here. Right underneath this ward, when Magnus walked in, Magnus came from the bottom here, and with the Invis-Room, just kind of walked around. This ward spotted him out. They were standing next to him. They knew he was there. But the Shadow Demon and the Nyx waited. They wanted to bait him farther and farther in. And once he was far enough in, the plan there looked like it was going to be to stun him up, to disrupt him, to just blow him up before he could get off the RP. On the other hand, the plan from Vixen was to put him in, get an RP, skewer everyone back, and just damage them out. Neither plan went off perfectly, though they did get a 3-man RP, and it looks like there will be a lasso out on Zac. Zac trying to retreat is going to get taken down in that Firefly. Good kill out coming out from Sid, Fargo, and the Lone Druid Icolob. So definitely a good kill there, getting them all some farm. But as I was saying, they were trying to bait him out. Both sides were trying to just get better positioning. Solid play from the supports there, though, with that awareness. Looking back to the middle lane, Sid coming back here against Alicis. Alicis knows that he can't really just stand up and fight this, but he is at level 5, so he will be about 300 experience away from his spell steal, and that spell steal will be very helpful, especially if he can get something like Disruption or the Nyx Stun or the Nyx Mana Burn or something like that can turn the tide of a battle. Serbach, though, looks a little bit like he's scared to even farm his own lanes. I'm not sure what he's doing, running all the way back to base to pick up a TP or something, but he's playing very passively. He's only got 52 last hits at this point, while the Lifestealer, on the other hand, has 80. And not only does he have 80 last hits, he has 80 last hits and he has a Midas, which means that he is going to be over-leveled. He is going to have a bit more gold than the opposing team, and he is going to be able to scale into that late game. Vixen just cannot afford to really stand on their heels at this point and let him farm. They're letting him farm. They're giving him all this gold and all this time, and that's the one thing you can't give a lifesteal. You can't give him time. You can't give him space. So 4 grouped up top here. Looks like they're either going to go for some kills or push down the tower. They're just kind of milling around, though, just not being very efficient with their time. Unless I can get this kill on the lifestealer, it'll be good initiation from Daztan. But this ward is spotting out everything. Very good ward from the Dire here. They know what's going on. They know that there are 4 there and that they really do not want to put the lifestealer in that kind of a position. Serbach headed down to the bottom lane to hopefully get his farm up. Beastmaster accompanying him just for some hugs and giggles. Looks like they're just trying to farm up this Sven as much as possible. He does have 1 level in Cleave, but he does need a few more levels to become truly effective in those fights with popping the God Strength and popping the Cleave. He is only level 7 though, so he is severely underleveled compared to the Nyx, who is level 10, almost level 11, thanks to the experience bonus from that Midas, as well as the free farm lane on top. He's going to be very dangerous there come a couple minutes from now when he gets up his first item or 2. Possibly an armlet. Yep, looking like an armlet. He's got the Helm of Iron Will. Once he gets up an armlet and another item, he might well be unstoppable. Fargo, pulling the hard camp here, will be able to get the stack, so he could pull off another lane or 2. Let the Nyx keep the creepy equilibrium where he wants it, and possibly get a little bit more farm. He might just farm up... Oh, yep, he might just be farming up the stack, trying to get a little bit of golden experience for himself. Daztan will bottle a regen rune. Definitely helpful for him to spam up the axes or something like that, so he'll be doing reasonably well with that. Zac S here does have his ultimate up, and it looks like Nick has finished up his armlet already. One thing he does do quite a bit, though, he does leave that Midas off cooldown for a couple seconds. It's not a huge deal. It's really only a couple seconds at either end, but to get maximum efficiency like you'd like to see from something like a Hand of Midas would be that the instant it's off cooldown, you use it. And it might only account for a couple hundred gold a game, but it's a couple hundred gold, and I'm really picky about that. So he could use it a little bit more efficiently, but he is just doing fantastically with 93 last hits. Looks like they're going to try to smoke around the Radiant Art and try to get a kill on bottom here. coming out with the roar on Fargo. Fargo not going to be able to get his disruption off. Dies immediately. Pioneer gets RP'd and looks like he's going to go invis and not be able to get that kill. Minced is going to pop off his ultimate, but not sure if he's gonna, they were able to see him. They did drop this ward up here. They got the urn off, and Beastmaster managed to get that kill through the urn. Oi Boy just TPing away because he doesn't want to deal with the death there and didn't want to deal with a 4 or 5 on 2 fight. He TP'd home, no harm, no foul there, manages to not die, always a solid option. Ikalab, been a very quiet, steady farmer here on bottom lane. He's sitting at 78 last hits, and after getting suppressed a little bit in the early game, now he's getting dangerous. He has the phase boost, he has the Orb of Venom on his bear, he has treads on himself, and he's building into a Maelstrom for his bear. Gonna accelerate his farm quite a bit there, accelerate his damage significantly. So once he gets that, he'll start being really dangerous. They've been just letting him farm and letting the Nakes farm, which might not end well for them later in the game. Fargo carrying a Dark Passenger here, looking for something to initiate on, but not going to find anything as the Beastmaster and the Venomancer, sorry about that one. Beastmaster and Venomancer did retreat back to their tower once they saw them coming. The Observer and Sentry did get dewarded here up at the top lane by the Dire, so they will no longer have vision here. 4 heroes at the top lane. Looks like they might be planning a push on there. While Serbok just kind of sitting down on the bottom on that Sven, farming up. And once again, he just backs off. I'm not 100% sure if all 3 or 4 of them were in vision there, but it looks to me like they were. Serbok just hiding under his tier 2. I'm not sure if he's scared of the lone druid or what, but he is playing so passively. It's not going to fare well for them. With his Lifestealer as farmed as he is, with Lone Druid as farmed as he is, almost got that Maelstrom now. Maybe even, nope, not quite flying out. He's very close to that Maelstrom though. It's just not going to fare well for them to be able to just play that passively. Vixen is in trouble if they keep playing like this. Beastmaster is going to go on his way to the Aghanims. And the Aghanims for Beastmaster is a huge boon. It lowers the cooldown to like 30 seconds or something like that on the max level and allows a much higher cast range. That means you can initiate from farther away and manage to pick off something like a Lifestealer perhaps, possibly even the Shadow Demon or the Nyx, be able to initiate on them and get them knocked out of the game immediately. Especially if the Batrider blinks in, having that little bit of extra range will really help them out. Mint's just walking through the jungle here, while the Lone Druid just continues his farm. He is just farming away on this bottom lane, looking at 95 last hits, almost caught up to the Lifestealer at this point. And that's going to be huge for him. He has finished his Maelstrom, and he is level 13. Compare that to the Sven, who's level 8. He's just sitting, the 4 of them, they waste a lot of time. They're just sitting in the middle lane, waiting for that smoke. They smoke up. Looks like they're going to try to go on this Lone Druid. It'll be a huge kill for them. Tons of experience for them if they can manage to get it. And they will walk into him, it looks like, on the bottom lane here. And they will find him. Hopefully that's some coming out from Sarah. And wasted RP on Zac. Was not close enough for that. And he just stands there in shame for a moment or two. Sarabok trying to get a couple hits in. But he's getting taken down. And he will fall to that Batrider. They're trying to kill the Lone Druid. Couldn't get the Lone Druid. They did manage to get the Shadow Demon. Looks like Pioneer's trying to reinitiate here. He will get the Vendetta hit and the stun out on 2. Get a couple extra hits on Minstrunner, and he will go down. Zac next on the list. If he doesn't skewer Ray right now, he could be in a lot of trouble. Beastmaster knocking down all the trees, but not doing any damage. Stuns out Sid, but Zac will still go down. That was a huge, huge misplay from Zac right there on that with that RP. That RP, he attempted to get quite a few, but completely whiffed and got no one. They did manage to take down the Shadow Demon, but it was a 4-for-1 trade in favor of the Dire. That is just another huge play for them. They reacted very well to that with Pioneer coming in with that Vendetta hit, the Batrider coming in and lassoing at the very end there to get another kill. Shadow Demon did manage to disrupt himself and give himself a little bit of extra time, and the Lone Druid just tanking through everything, doing a whole bunch of damage and managing to stay alive, which is huge. Looks like we'll see what Rubik stole. Rubik stole Sticky Napalm, definitely useful. And Magnus does have his Blink Dagger up now, which will help him nail those RPs. Right there in that fight would have been a totally different fight had he had that Blink Dagger out. With that Blink Dagger, he manages to hit at least a 3 or 4 man RP and might have turned that fight totally around. Zac blinking and trying to skewer back, miscalculates slightly and doesn't manage anything. no one's really getting much of anything here. Disruption coming out on Dostan, and Pioneer goes into Vendetta, but nothing really coming of that. Just a little bit of harass going on to the Dire. Meanwhile, Lifestealer farming up top. He's really looking at 121 CS. He has the Armlet, he has the Midas, he has Treads, he has 3k gold. He's in a great spot right now. He has all the gold in the world, all the time in the world, all the space in the world. So he's going to be looking to just keep farming. And pretty much by the end of this, hopefully he'll just look at 1v5ing. They have stacked the Ancients, so Serbok will be able to catch up a little bit of farm through that once he can take the Ancients. Right now, I don't think he would be able to make it. Meanwhile, the Dire are going for a Roshan. There's definitely a good play, but the Radiant know about it. They have this ward, they have the Hawk, which will give them flying vision of the pit. So they know about it. The Dire know that they know about it, and a very good RP by Zach, making up for the last one, catches 3. Mince cutting out with his ultimate, and Serbok coming in to just get a couple hits through everyone. Stun going out on Ikalabob on that Syllabear, and he looks like he might be going down on the backside. Sid drags Alisu up to the high ground, and it looks like Lone Druid will fall to that Sven. Mint's getting really low, and it looks like the Bat Rider will also go down. Very good fight coming out from Vixen, turning that one around with that solid RP from Zach. That Blink really coming into play there. He got in, and he got a 3-man RP at the edge of the Roche pit. That was huge. He managed to catch the Skewer. He managed to get the damage out from the Shockwave, and that was a huge turnaround from them. They really needed that, and they really needed this Roche. Fargo coming in to try and slow it down, but I'm not sure how much he'll be able to do. Lone Druid buys back, TP's in, and it looks like the Nyx Assassin will also be TPing in, and they will not take this Roche. They are backing off. They know they don't have the manpower. Silver coming in and gets the kill on Zach. Nyx Assassin just kind of hanging out in the pit there. Fargo trying to go far with Roshan. Ikalabob going after Alisu on the Rubik here. Might land a lucky root and get that kill. If not, another 2 hits would probably do it. 1 hit and 2 hits. The Dire do get the Aegis here. Oi Boy coming in to pick that up. They get the last hit on Rubik as well. Very good comeback from them, from the Dire. They managed to buy back the Lone Druid. I'm not sure if that was entirely worth the buyback, but he did get the kill on Rubik. They did get the Roshan. They scared away Vixen from Roshan, so it might very well have been worth it for them. Oi Boy just coming down here. Does have a Sacred Relic now. Looking to go for an Abyssal, I would imagine. Either that or a Divine Rapier, which would, really tickle my fancy, but possibly not the safest option to give to the other team if you die. So he might be will likely be going for the Abyssal, be able to lock down that Sven as much as possible in a team fight. And if Sven does manage to get off the Mask of Madness and get stunned, Oi Boy can really put down a ton of damage, especially due to the extra damage. Looks like Zach will come in with a nice RP. Doesn't get the Skewer back, but the stun coming out from Serbok will annihilate the Shadow Demon. Oi Boy might be going down. Nice armlet toggle there, whatever happened. And Daztan gets the stun off, pops the Aegis. Sid comes in with the lasso on the Rubik, pulls him away and gets the kill. Oi Boy coming back up alive and manages to take down the Venomancer. Oi Boy coming back onto that tower, managed to get the tower kill as well. Axis fly, but not doing enough damage to take anyone down. And that was a 3-for-1 trade on the Dire's side. Meanwhile, Syllabear just keeps pushing. Syllabear, he's not even called that anymore. Lone Druid just keeps pushing and pushes through the Dire Tier 2, and it looks like he might get through the entire Tier 3 as well. And he gets the Tier 3. Meanwhile, they're getting a Tier 2 at middle, and possibly a kill on Daztan. Gets a lucky root, and the Skewer back will slow him down a little bit, but he will be able to make it away. That Lone Druid is just too darn tanky with 2200 health, and a bear on top of that. He will be able to just run away. Has the Hyperstone out on the bear, will help with that attack speed, landing hopefully all those roots that they want. Meanwhile, the Tier 2 at middle also goes down. So, tons of advantage for the Dire right now, and I'm not even sure I want to look at the net worth charts because it might be a little bit scary with Sven only having 80 last hits at this point in a match. Sven hasn't gotten much else. He has gotten the Mithril Hammer up, probably going for a BKB, which would be entirely necessary. He's just getting slowed and stunned and locked down the entire fight. That said, if the Lifestealer does have his Abyssal Blade pretty much now, so he will be able to lock down that Sven if he does go for that BKB. As soon as he pops the BKB, Lifestealer pops the Abyssal Blade on him and stuns him out nonetheless. So it's not going to be too huge, but it will allow Sven to at least get a couple right clicks in, hopefully, and possibly even more if the Lifestealer is caught in that RP. If Lifestealer gets caught in that RP and bursts down during the duration of that RP, it might be a totally different fight. Lone Druid down on the bottom lane, still farming away. Nothing else to do with his life. Mjolnir picked up for his bear. That bear is getting crazy good now. Resummons him for the full life, and it looks like they might just try to push down a Rax here between Fargo and him. So, not sure. The Radiant are coming back to defend it with Serbok and Zakas coming back, and the Shadow Demon has spotted them out with the Shadow Poison, so he knows they're there. Serbok with the Empower is doing a fair bit of damage, but not enough to bring down a 2300, 2200 life Lone Druid. He's very tanky, especially with 17 armor, 2200 life. It's going to be a tough fight. Even landing the RP, even landing the God Strength, the Stun, and the Cleave, landing everything, it'll still be a long time to burn through that Lone Druid's life. Dire grouping up on bottom here. Sid does have the Lifestealer infested into him, so he will be a fun little present. And the RP coming out, but where is the follow-up? Skewer's back, and there's the follow-up, getting a couple of hits down. Serbok coming in with the Cleave, and huge stun there coming out from everyone. Serbok trying to right-click in the middle of the fight, but getting taken down. Ichabod down to 2 health due to the poison, but it looks like Dog's Hand will fall as well. Minced Runner just running away at this point as Oy Boy chases with the open wounds. Couple more hits and he will go down. Looks like the Magnus will be going down on the backside of it. Lifestealer takes down the Venomancer, and it's a 5-for-1 trade. The Shadow Demon did go down there, but trading one support for the entire other team is huge. GG's will be called out. Looks like this game... Oh, nope, GG's from League of Men, actually. Little bit of bad manners there coming out from them. They know it's over, though. And there's the GG from Vixen. Not sure if they're still going to come out of the fountain and play this, but everyone knows it's pretty much over at this point with all the GGs coming out. Looking at the end of the game chart, 15 and 20,000 gold advantage for the Dire and a 20,000 experience advantage for the Dire at the very end. There was just absolutely nothing Vixen could do about this. Letting the Lone Druid and letting the Nyx farm all game long was not perhaps the best decision. And just playing passively, I feel like, really condemned them on that Sven. Sven was sitting back by his tier 2 tower for majority of the game just so he wouldn't die or be afraid of dying. So, looks like this game is about it. Thank you for letting me cast you today, Dota fans. I appreciate the game. And if you do want me to cast more, let me know. I am always available for some more casts. If you want to check out any of my other casts, I am available at youtube.com/SeeC Dota. That's SeeC Dota at youtube.com. Thank you and enjoy the good Dota tonight.